Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Behind the Closed Doors combined with Quite Frankly. Because, well, today we're starting a vlog testing the RX100 version 7 from Sony. And there's a lot of things to talk about. For example, one of the improvements. And you actually hear it bad now. And I'm going to talk about how they improved this camera to be an awesome vlogging camera. So join us for today's episode of Behind the Closed Doors. And Quite Frankly. And what is the best way to test a vlogging camera? Take it on a little trip, right? So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to take the RV and we're going to drive to a beautiful area in the Netherlands and show you guys what this little baby can do. I'm going to mainly focus, of course, on the video. But as a photographer, we're also going to do some photos, of course. You can't skip those. I'm ready. Let's pick up Anouk and Chewy. Okay, so in this video we're taking a look at the new RX100 version 7. It's already version 7, can you imagine? And this is one of the smallest cameras I highly recommend if you're a professional photographer. Now, one of the things that I really like about this camera when you use it for video, because it really excels at video, is of course the flip-up screen. There was only one thing that I really didn't like about the previous versions. Audio is one of the most important things in video. How many times did you turn off a video because the audio was bad? I did it a lot. And in the old versions there was no way to get external audio inside the camera. Now, of course you can bring a normal recorder, but that's a lot of junk you have to bring with you. With this camera we now actually have a microphone input. So yeah, now we have audio, great video, in a very compact size. Just to give you a comparison, this is my phone, this is the RX100. Totally different size, right? Fit it in your pocket and you always have a great camera with you. So, a lot of functions. Let's take a look at them. Okay, now one of the first things you guys want to know, of course, is the lens. This is a 24-200. You turn it on. This is 24. And you can zoom in all the way to 200. This gives you a nice range for both, of course, video and photography. And the more range you have, well, the nicer images you can get if they're further away or closer, right? 24 is a nice wide angle, and 200, what more to wish for in such a small camera? Now, these cameras are of course great for traveling. This is why we actually take one day with the RV, just drive around in the Netherlands and take some images. They won't be spectacular, but at least you're gonna see what it can do. Now, these kind of cameras I also use a lot for video because, again, they excel in video. But with photography, one of the most asked questions is actually, should I bring my phone to take photos or something like this? Well, this is 20 megapixels, but it has a zoom lens from 24 to 200, ISO 12,800, so that's a lot. My phone has 40 megapixels, but only on the normal lens. So when I go to the wide angle, I only have 20 megapixels. When I want to zoom in, it's I believe 12 or 8. So 40 versus 20. But one lens, well, one lens that has 40, the other one has 20. This has 20 megapixels over the whole range. Now, another thing that's really important is how fast does it boot up? So when am I ready to take a picture? Well, let me try out. So we're going to start this one up and I'm going to tell you which one is faster. So on the phone I just press twice down on the volume button, and with this I press power on. So there we go. Are you ready? 1, 2, go. And the cameras are, they're both ready at the same time. And this is one of the most important things, because you want to make that picture fast. You don't want to wait for hours of your camera to start up. So let's say I see something cool. Okay, let's start up the camera. And I'm done. So that goes really fast. That's better than going like, okay, let's start up the camera. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, we're almost there. 5. And the moment is gone. So you need a camera that's really fast when powering on. So you grab your camera, you see something really cool, you press the button, and there we go, ready to take the shot. Now, of course, autofocus is also very important, and I can only say, well, Sony nailed it. Autofocus is really fast. Face tracking is really fast. And overall, it's just a great camera. So should you bring something like this or your phone? They both have similar options. Only on this one, of course, you have a big zoom lens. But you also have panoramic options in this camera, but also in this. You have HDR in both. So which one should you bring? Well, there's one point that's really important. How much quality do you need or do you want? This camera, I can already tell you, has way more quality than my phone. My phone is maybe 40 megapixels and this one is 20, but it's also about the quality of those pixels. And dynamic range in this camera is way better than in this camera. On the other hand, this camera is over €1,000. My phone is under €1,000 and it's a pretty decent camera. It also has a wide angle lens with 20 megapixels. It's okay. If you have the extra money, this one is actually awesome. And especially now for vlogging, with that flip-top screen and external audio. Wow, this is really amazing. But let's take some more video and let's take some images and just see what this baby can do. Okay, we arrived at the first location, and probably at the only location, because this is just a very short trip in our own country. But it is beautiful here. Let me take you up. Okay, let's talk about one of the biggest improvements, and you already hear it. Do you hear that wind? Do you hear that my sound isn't up to par? It actually probably sounds terrible, so let's change that. Okay, and there we go. We now connected a lavalier. It's still very windy and I don't have anything on my lavalier to protect it, but you can hear there's a distinct quality difference, right? It's so simple. Add a microphone input. I've been saying it for years. This is one of the perfect vlog cameras. The only thing it missed was that microphone input, and now it has it. So that's absolutely awesome. But there's more. One of the things that I love to do with these kinds of cameras is, of course, take panoramic shots. And over here, we're in a beautiful location for just that. Because what you actually see all the way over there is the famous Dutch Waddenzee. And why not just zoom a little bit in? All the way from 24 to 200. Isn't that awesome? Now don't zoom a lot during video, but you can see that you have a lot of range with this little camera. And range is always cool. Zooming, not so much. In video. One of the things that I love to do, again, panoramic shots. So let's see how it works. You simply go to the panoramic setting. There we go. You hold the shutter button. And there you go. And done. And you can also set it up for an even wider panoramic shot. Okay, let's change the panoramic size from standard to wide. And you can also change the direction, of course, from right, left, up or down. For now, we're just going to use right. Right? Yes. Just look at the speed I can do the panoramic shot. And it worked. That's awesome. Let's take a look at two of those panoramic shots, the wide one and the normal one. And of course you can also zoom in. Nice. So let's take a look at the panoramic shots. This is the Sony. I shot one with my phone and one with the Sony. So this is the RX100. As you can see, it looks pretty good. I always look for the horizon, that it's nice and straight, that there are no weird artifacts there. And we have a lot of resolution, as you can see here. Here you can see a little bit of ghosting, but that's okay. Okay, this is the phone. And as you can see here, there is some more waves going on, as you can see. And this is a really good phone for panoramic shots. But as you can see here, this is what I meant. It's a little bit of a wave pattern. And the Sony doesn't have this, so that gives a clear benefit to the Sony. Look here, it's almost like there's hills. Okay, and resolution wise, it's, I think, pretty much equal. Okay. Now there's one thing, of course, you have to be careful for with your panoramic shots, because in the video which you just saw, you actually see me shooting one at evening. Now there was a little bit of an object in front. Now one of the panoramic shots, you see me going really fast, the super wide one, and the other one I go a little bit slower. Now look at the difference if there's something right in front of your camera. So this is the not so wide one, and as you can see here, you can see these little artifacts. Overall, at nighttime or evening, you can see that there's a little bit more, well, painterly effects. This was a higher ISO, and at that moment I think the image breaks down just a little bit. Now let's go to the ultra wide. Here I moved a little bit slower, and you can immediately see now those artifacts are a little bit less. So just find the way to move it. That first one, it was just way too fast. I was over enthusiastic. This one was a little bit slower. But also here, look at the wide you get. So much that you can capture with panoramic shots. I really like it. But again, the painterly effect, not so much. Now let's see the original image without any Lightroom attachments. And here you can see that, also here you see that painterly effect. So I think when you go over, let's see what ISO this was ISO 3200. I think when you go over ISO 1600 with these kinds of cameras, you can't expect a lot of detail anymore, because those sensors are so small. But overall, let's be honest, this was pretty dark and it just looks pretty cool. So, okay, that was the panoramic shots. Now there are many things that determine the look of a shot, and one of them is without a doubt the aperture. So how do you change the aperture on the RX100 version 7? Very simple. You just turn here and you change the aperture. So very natural, almost like an analog camera for changing the aperture. Awesome. Now of course, as soon as you're home, you want to see the images right. But also when you're in the RV or in the hotel, or maybe you want to make that Instagram shot right away. Well, Sony has a really cool app on your phone where you can actually get all the images off your camera. So let's take a look at that very quickly. Okay, I started the software, as you can see here. You can remotely control your camera. You can see your live view, and of course, you can send over images really fast. So on the road, seeing your images right away with the Sony app. Now you can make the connection via, of course, a QR code, Wi-Fi, or if your phone supports it, NFC. The only thing you have to do, pick up your phone, tap against the side of your camera, and it's connected. That's really handy. Okay, let's take some quick look at the images. We're not going to go over them a lot. I just want to show you what the camera can do. Again, this was a very, very short trip, only one day. So no spectacular images. We just wanted to see what the camera can do. These were shot during our first stop. And here you can see the difference between the 24 setting and all zoomed in. So it's nice to have a lot of range in a small camera. And this is one of the main things that I like about this camera compared to a phone. The phone has 3 different sensors, of course. You have your tele lens, you have your normal lens, and you have your wide angle. Normal lens is 40 megapixels, the wide angle is 20, and my zoom is, I believe, 8 or 12. But you can't move in between. If you move in between, it becomes digital zoom, which looks absolutely horrendous. With a camera like this, you have optical zoom, so you have zoom over the whole range, and that just gives you a tremendous amount of range during trips, as you can see here. Now let's zoom into 100%, because this, of course, is the full screen. So let's see what it can do. So I focused on the boat, and as you can see here, this is the retouched image. Let's go to the original one. This is what's coming out of the camera. So there's a lot of detail, no ringing. It just looks very well. Very nice. And let's go into the 200mm setting. Also here, good detail even on the crates. And let's see the original. As you can see, I do a lot in Lightroom, but it's basic settings, you know, it's pretty extreme on the highlights and shadows and contrast, but hey, that's how I like my shots, and everybody's different, of course. Now, noise-wise, as you can see here, let's go to the original. This was, of course, during daytime, so there's hardly any noise. So let's see the info of the shot. This is ISO 100, okay, that's expected. Okay, here we have a little bit more close-up with 200mm. Looks very nice. And let's go to the original again. You guys asked me to go for the originals and the retouched version, so that's why I'm doing it this way. Let's zoom into some of the shadow areas here. It looks really nice. And also this is ISO 100. So you don't expect noise, of course, in ISO 100, let's be real. Okay, looks pretty nice. Okay. This was actually at our location where we spent the night. So let's go for an evening shot. Okay, this one can be pretty cool to compare. So these are both shots at the same time. This is the 24 setting. This is all zoomed in. Okay, and this was actually ISO 320. And those smaller sensors, do remember, everything above ISO 100 becomes tricky. So this is the original. Noise looks really nice. There's not a lot of painterly effects. There is some painterly effects over here. And it already creeps up with ISO 320, but it's okay for a small sensor. And let's go for the zoomed in. Now you can see it a little bit better. Of course, this is also your distortion of your of the weather, but it's pretty nice. I focused here and that looks pretty good. Again, you see some noise. This is ISO 2000, so now you would expect a small sensor to break up completely. And this is the weird thing, and I think the great thing about these kind of sensors is ISO 100 is 100% clean, 200, 100% clean. 320, you start to see a little bit of that painterly effect, and you would expect then ISO 2000 to be a total disaster and a mess. When you look at the shots, it's actually ISO 2000 for such a small sensor. Come on, guys. This is really nice. And again, this is the original without any noise reduction whatsoever. Pretty impressive. Cool. For ISO 2000. I wish that ISO 320 had a little bit less of that painterly effect, but overall, nice. Okay. Let's go for this image. This is ISO 1000. And this is 100%. And let's go for the original. You can get a lot of detail back from shots. Really nice. And of course, chewy. Okay, this was literally a nice contrasty scene, which I wanted to see if it could actually bring back detail. So this is the original one. And a few years ago, this would be a picture that you can throw away because you could never get that detail back in the shadows without a lot of noise or artifacts. Now look at this. Looks pretty good. I did move it a little bit, by the way. Sorry, that's my fault, not the camera's fault. hey, looks pretty interesting. Okay, some overview shots. ISO 500. Let's zoom in on the grass. You can see that same paint tree effect. But overall, really, really nice. Okay. We saw a nice motorcycle, and of course, you have to shoot it, right? And this is the one thing that I love about flip-up screens. You can go really low on the ground and really get some nice shots. And again, detail, plenty of detail. Nice. And the original and the retouch version. Now, ISO 640, and now you may or may not realize this, but if I shoot it on ISO 640 and this is actually the result, the one that you see now is probably comparable to ISO 2000, 2500, because I raised those shadows a lot, and there's still hardly any noise here, so it looks really nice. Okay, cool. Okay, this was later, ISO 640. Again, the grass will be paintery. There's a little bit of noise over there, of course. Let's go for the original. Looks pretty nice. I do underexpose those shots a little bit because I want detail in the sky. ISO 3200. You guys asked me to do a lot of high ISO, so there you go. Now you can see that it's breaking up. You see, now you see a lot of those paintery effects. But again, ISO 3200 on a camera that small. And the paintery effect, by the way, is also because I'm using noise reduction in Lightroom. So let's see if we can get it a little bit better. Sometimes it's better to see a little bit of noise, but get a little bit of detail back. Oh, there you go. I think this is pretty acceptable. Okay, so go for the original. Yeah. Overall, again, nice. Okay, we also tested some images while we were driving the RV in both video and photography, just to see how the image stabilization is. This is from a driving RV. I think Enwick took the shot when I was driving like 80 kilometers an hour, so yeah. Also very good for this. This is some of the artifacts from our window, of course. And this was ISO, let me see, ISO 100 on 1/800th of a second, so looks pretty cool. Overall, the images, great. Doesn't disappoint. The things you guys asked me was slow motion. So we have a few options. 250 frames a second, 500, and 1000. So let's bring out Chewy, our wonder dog. Let's make him jump and let's see what this baby can do. Okay, one of the things you guys actually asked me was, can you zoom in and just use the internal mics for the audio? So let's zoom in so you can hear the zooming over video. So as you can see, it's pretty quiet. Now, if you watch till the end of the video, you probably really are interested in this camera. So is this your new camera? It all depends. It's about 1100 euros in the Netherlands. That's a lot of money. Your phone also works. And I think it's a little bit hard to explain where this camera fits, but it fits a really nice niche market. First of all, you have 20 frames a second on 20 megapixels, which is awesome. You have optical zoom from 24 to 200, which is awesome. High ISO, it's okay, but on your phone it's crap anyway, so this is much better than your phone. You have panoramic shots, you have a lot of options. You can do it with your phone, you can immediately beam images to your phone for social media. The price again is high, but you have to realize this is spot on in the middle between a really great flagship phone. Remember, I'm talking about a flagship phone. Don't even compare this with a normal phone. You really have to compare this with the phones that in DxOMark score above 100%, like the Huawei P30 or P40. This one is better. So, is it better than a DSLR or a mirrorless camera? No, but it's a much smaller sensor. So it fits that niche market exactly in the middle. If you don't want to bring a lot of gear with you, this one will give you so much more options than your phone. But if you are willing to travel with a lot of gear, 1100 euros is a lot of money. So this is a camera for professional photographers that just take a trip and want to take amazing images, great quality, but don't want to drag around their whole kit. Or it's great for the tourists that want to create professional looking shots, the best shots possible, but doesn't want to bring their phone. It's that spot in the middle. It's much better than a phone. It's a little bit less than, let's say, a step-in DSLR. So overall, Sony did it again. They hit a home run with this RX100 series. For such a small camera, every time a new RX100 comes out, it's a surprise to see what they improved. And every time, it's worth the money. But you have to be in that specific market. And if you are in that specific market, this might be the professional photographer's best friend. So check it out online. I'm sure this is a camera that you are gonna love. I think we're gonna take this ourselves, right, Anouk? Or should we bring it back to Sony? I don't know. Maybe I will keep it. So, see you again next time, guys. Thank you so very much. Leave comments below and subscribe to our channel. See you again next time. Bye, guys.